Greetings, everyone. This is I'm Right.
I'm right.
And I'm Jill Cox Cordova.
I'm Anthony Cordova.
Daggone mower.
Daggone mower. Listeners, you ever get ready to do something that requires it to be quiet?
Quiet on the set.
And that's when the landscape guy starts doing the blower and the lawnmower. And every
single time. We can do it different days, different times. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like he knows.
So if you hear it in the background, it's, you really are hearing that and can't get him to stop because he's not our landscape guy.
That's right. He's just doing his job.
He's just doing his job,
Yes.
Leaf blowers and lawn mowers and edgers and
yes. Maybe we need that soundproof studio we've talked about.
Yeah, listeners, we need a soundproof studio. So just donate to our fund so we can get that and we'll have better quality sound.
Well, let's get to this week's episode, which is about living your life like a kid. Live like a kid.
Cool.
It's part of a segment that we call
Stand by Your Stance.
I guess you have to lead us on this one, sweetheart, because I don't think I would be accused of living my life like a kid.
Well,
not that it's a bad thing, but I don't think I think between the two of us, people would say that you're living like a kid instead of me.
I'm more likely to do something that I would do while I was a kid, which keeps me young. I always want to try to keep a young mind.
Right.
Willing to experience new things, and willing to do things that I did when I was a kid, like stand on my head. I do that occasionally.
Yes, you do.
Just so
because I say you can't still stand on your head, and then you'll do it.
Yeah.
But you can't jump over a fence, a high fence. Although you tried it.
I tried it. I didn't make it the first time, but I made it the second time, so it's okay. But like, pogo stick. I used to love pogo stick. So, if I see a kid with a pogo stick, I'm like, oh, let me get a try. Let me do it. Let me do it. Give me a chance.
And do you do it well?
Yeah. Then I also want to, I used to be able to ride a unicycle, but not very well. I wasn't even good at it when I was a kid, but I would like to try it again, just to see if I'm as bad as before or worse, just have some fun like a kid,
Well, I think for me, I'm doing things I did as a kid, but I wasn't a normal kid. So
you weren't?
No. So you know how like little kids, like 2-year-olds, because they're getting much better at speaking and, forming full sentences, and they start asking, why?
Yeah.
Well, I never outgrew that.
No, you haven't.
In fact, I still like to ask a lot of questions.
I guess that's why, most of your career you were a journalist.
Yes, I found a way to utilize that. But as a kid, I would play journalist. I would play talk show host. I would play that's what I would play with my friends. I would make them be my guest and I would interview them.
But now you don't play journalists, you do journalists.
But that's what I'm saying.
You have you have your do something different interviews. Remember those?
Yes.
What do you say? Yes. What do you? Yes.
Well, I stopped those interviews because I wasn't able to release them as fast as I wanted. So now I have to play catch up with those.
I think you were just a little over ambitious with that.
Probably because I did too many. Yes. Yeah. And so now I'm having to play catch up. But I do have a new newsletter in which I interview someone for each newsletter. Someone who's an activist of some sort, but in interesting ways, because I want to prove through them that we all have some talent, some gift that we can use to help others.
Okay.
But So I get my point about this episode though is that I don't think I'm much different than I was as a kid, but I wasn't a normal kid.
You were not a fun kid.
Like I didn't like cartoons.
You were not a fun kid.
Who said I wasn't fun?
You just proved it.
I was fun probably to other journalist kids.
Here's something else I used to do it as a kid. I would get on my bike and I would get into the middle of the street and I would take my hands off the handlebars to ride with no hands. Right. It's just kids do that.
Kids do that, yes.
But I went a little bit further with it.
Uh-oh, what'd you do?
I closed my eyes also.
And what'd you run into?
A car.
A moving car?
No, a parked car. But that was fun. It was still fun. I was like, oh, maybe I can't do that anymore because I might run into a car. But it was fun.
I don't think you were a fun child. That doesn't sound fun to me.
It was fun. It was fun. Have you ever had I bet you never had this.
Probably.
And I bet you even a lot of the audience never did this as a kid.
What's that?
Dirt bomb fight.
So you played with dirt and threw it like a snowball?
Well, you know how kinda, yeah. So you know how
I don't even like snowball fights.
But you know how when, the soil is really dry and maybe, you're tilling soil or something. I don't know. But it clumps up into like a hard,
Are you sure you grew up in New York?
Yeah. But it clumps up. It clumps up like into a hard, it kind of looks like a rock, but it's dirt.
Okay.
So we used to
throw that at people?
Yeah, we would throw at each other. And you would try to get one that didn't have a rock in it. But sometimes they had a rock in it.
So some people would get hit by rocks?
Well, they get hit by the dirt around the rock first. And that would absorb a lot of the energy. It was a lot of fun because it was dangerous. You didn't know. The stakes were higher. You see.
What if you came upon a kid that really liked to hit people with rocks? So they would just hide it with the dirt. Like their goal was to hit you with a rock.
It didn't take long to figure out who that kid was. You see?
So you wouldn't let him play? What would happen?
Well, you just know, don't let him hit you with a dirt bomb because it probably has a rock in it.
That does not sound like fun to me.
It was a lot of fun.
Well, growing up in a national park, we definitely played in the streets, because we could. And so I liked jumping rope with the kids, like double dutch or just regular jump rope.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. We would we all had skates, roller skates.
Did you do double dutch?
Yes, I just said that.
Double dutch. You said jumping rope.
And then I said or regular jumping rope.
Jumping rope or regular jumping rope? Double dutch or regular jumping rope?
Double dutch. I said yes, double dutch or regular jumping rope.
Yeah.
I did both.
Okay.
Like, so when we played together, like all of us had our own jump rope. So we would sometimes just jump rope,
mm-hmm.
or we would just use one rope and double dutch, or two ropes and double dutch.
Okay. Yeah, but
and we all had roller skates and we all had skateboards. And in the wintertime,
when was the last time you were on roller skates?
When you and I were at a park and I tried on my skates.
No, it wasn't me.
No, because I put on my skates and when we were at a park.
No, Jill, it wasn't me. I've never seen you with roller skates. Ever.
Oh. Well, no, I take that back. The last time I was on roller skates was actually at the rink near us when I took one of our nephews.
See, I wasn't with you. Yeah. How'd you like it?
I have found that I can't skate anymore. I need practice.
But was it still fun?
It was still fun. I still really like roller rinks because you could just roll to the music. That was fun. Yeah. So and then in the wintertime growing up, when because in Kentucky if it snows even a little bit, school is out. So there was this little path through the woods that was like a hill, and we all had like tubes of a tire, like you know what I'm talking about, the inner tubes. Mm-hmm. And we all had those, and we would ride those down the little hill instead of sleds, which was fun.
That's when was the last time you did that?
When I was a
even
kid.
When we went to Park City, you wouldn't even go skiing with me.
No, it's much more fun to stay inside.
We could have got a sled. We could have got a sled and gone down in the sled down the bunny slope, running people over. Oops, sorry.
For some reason, I don't think they would allow that there.
Oops, sorry. People flying in the air every place. Sorry.
I don't think they would have allowed that there.
You see, but this shows, I have this mind, I have an adult mind, but like always at Christmas, whether it's the kids or the grandkids, I played with their stuff more than I did. They're like, dang, let me get a chance. Get out of here. I'm playing with this. I mean, there are many
for Christmas, I should start getting you toys.
I always like to get at least one toy.
As an adult?
Yes, I do.
Why didn't I know that?
You did know that. I remember I requested a mini helicopter, just a little tiny one.
Here we go.
But you bought one. I said, I just want this just a little tiny one. A little tiny one. Jill bought me a helicopter that was the size of a real one.
It wasn't the size of a real one.
It was the size of a real one. You couldn't get
inside of it. No, it wasn't.
And you could have fit inside it for sure.
No, I couldn't have.
And it never did.
The story gets bigger and bigger every time you tell it.
The helicopter never did fly. I was really disappointed with that one. I just want just a little tiny.
So now what toy would you like? This year?
I don't know what toy I want.
A train?
I like trains. I have trains already. See, I have trains.
You don't play with them?
No, I don't have the time.
No.
It was that used to be one of my hobbies. So I used to have like a big train set, like big with towns and spurs and little cities and stuff and mountains, all of that.
Oh.
That is probably something I'll do when I really retire. If I ever really, really retire, like really, really, really retire, and I have absolutely nothing else to do but play with trains, that I might.
I don't think that will ever happen. I don't.
So yeah,
but what's your point? Why should our listeners live life like a kid?
Because it's good to keep a young mind. It's good to talk to young people and experience the things that they do and show some interest in what they do. So you don't lose touch. So it makes it a lot easier to communicate with someone that may be 50 years younger than you, if you remember what it was like to be a kid. It's and I remember one of my daughters, my youngest daughter, saw how I interacted with the grandchildren, right? So my daughter's an adult, but she saw me interact with the grandchildren, and she was like amazed. She was like, "How do you do that?" So, what do you mean? How do you interact like that with them? Like, just like you're a kid and you're so good with them. How do you do that? Oh, well, I had kids before. You're one of them. Don't you remember? So I think it's important, to be able to go back to that part of your mind. See, because when we were kids, we really didn't have most of us, some of us had a lot to worry about. And that's a whole nother episode. But some of us didn't really have much to worry about. We wake up, we go to school, we come home, we play. On the weekend, we play. We don't have to worry about bills or any of that stuff. And everything's provided for us, and we're good. All we can, and our imagination is fantastic.
Right.
When you're a kid, you can think of all types of things. So if you're able to keep that part of you, I actually think it can help you as an adult, especially if you're a creative person. You need to really hold on to that younger self.
Right. I agree with that.
So I think it could be very beneficial in how you interact with, people that are younger than you and people that are older than you. When you can think of, hey, let's do something we haven't done since we were kids. Like, I remember I was in Las Vegas, and I was single at the time, but I was riding my bike in Vegas. And I started talking to this young lady, and I gave her a ride on the handlebars of my bike.
I used to ride the handlebars of everybody's bike. Yeah. That was more fun to me than actually riding a bike.
But I was an adult,
yes,
and
yes.
I gave her a ride because she was waiting for the bus. So, I gave her a ride to, where she was going, which wasn't really that far. And she was like, oh, that was so exciting. I hadn't done that since I was a kid,
Right.
But I'm the one, hey, get on handlebars. Let's go.
Right. Well, I remember one cookout that we had, and our granddaughter I think she was probably 7 at the time, maybe 5. And there was another, one of the guests had a daughter around the same age. And they were outside, but they were kind of looking at each other, but not, they were both shy, wasn't talking to each other. So I grabbed each of their hands and I started playing Ring Around the Rosies with them. But then because I was in white shorts and we were on the deck, when it was like, and we all fall down, I didn't want to get down. So, and I said, so we don't fall down. So later, the little girl that was a guest of the daughter of one of the guests, apparently she started singing that to her friends and in front of her father. So she thought that was the way it went. It's like Ring Around the Rosies, the remix.
Right. And we don't fall down.
Right. Because I never understood that even when I was a child. I didn't want to fall down. So I felt like I was returning to my childhood roots when I was doing that with them as an adult, because I was like, oh, this is what I used to say when I was little, because I didn't see the point of falling down.
When was the last time you played hide and go seek?
With the grandkids, when our granddaughter was a baby, like you had to hold her, like I was hiding with her. She couldn't walk.
She never did understand hide and seek.
Yeah, because she'd be like, I'm here. Like, shh, don't tell anybody. So we had some good hiding spots. But so see, that was the last time.
But look, see, we're laughing and we're having memories of playing childhood
and for a while,
games.
Our grandkids thought I was just a kid that happened to live in the house with you.
Because you all were the same height.
We were not. We were not. They're both taller than me now. But at the time, I was still taller. But they thought I was just this other bigger kid that lived in the house with you. For a long time, they didn't realize my connection to them.
No, no, they didn't. They did.
But not. I liked that they thought I was playful enough to where I was just a big kid to them.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that was their perception.
Yeah, but sometimes it's it's just,
especially since I'm actually afraid of kids. I've gotten better.
We won't talk about this during this episode.
I've gotten better.
We'll save that for another episode. But
I've gotten better.
Yeah, so I'm curious of whether our listeners have done anything like that. When was the last time they played hide and seek? When was the last time they played hopscotch? And it's like there's even a commercial like that. This little girl is she's in front of her house and she's bored and she doesn't have anything to do.
And people are going about their day, but they don't seem to be enjoying the day.
Yeah, so she drew this hopscotch right on the sidewalk where everybody was walking by, and like every adult saw that and they wanted to play hopscotch.
Oh, hopscotch was my jam. I loved hopscotch. That was great. Oh, in fact, I have some chalk.
Okay,
so I should go out in the street, like a gigantic one.
Yeah,
see what
because
people do.
A lot of people walk
back and forth.
Through our neighborhood. We don't have sidewalks, but we have so people walk in the street.
Yeah.
But we don't have a lot of traffic or anything like that comes through.
Right.
So you should draw
try
one.
That.
You should draw one, and we'll video it and
see what people do.
Yeah, and then we can interview them afterwards.
Oh, see, now who's the journalist?
That's not being a journalist. That's
sure, it is. Interview.
That's being a creative person.
And then what would you do with it? What would you create?
I would turn it into a creative video.
Oh, okay.
And maybe write something to go along with it.
That would be cool.
Poetry or something.
Multimedia. I like that.
Yeah, but with thinking with a child's mind.
I
challenge I challenge our listeners to do something, buy yourself a toy, anything. It doesn't matter. Take if you look around our house, ever so often you'll see something like on my desk. I have
it's actually mine. I gave it to you.
Yeah, but I have a space shuttle that's on my desk, and you can pull it backwards and it just takes off across like it's going to take off.
I gave it to you.
Yes, but in the bedroom on my dresser, you'll see a toy Jeep that I had from when I was a child. I keep some remnants of some type of toy around always. Even if you go into the basement at my workbench, you'll see different little toys sitting around to remind me, hey, remember, stay in that child's mind. Remember how to, live and not be so, tied up with adult things.
That's a good thing. A good thing. So should we start like maybe every other month go and buy us a toy that we either want to try or used to do? Like jacks.
Oh,
we could play jacks.
I am a great jacks player.
I bet you I'm better.
I bet you're not better than me.
I was a champion. I
was a champion. See, I learned to play jacks in middle school. I never had
that late.
Yes, and my sister used it because back then it was kind of like considered the girls played jacks, boys played marbles. That's
I would get boys to play jacks with me.
Yeah, but see, in middle school, the girls were playing jacks. That was their thing, but we didn't play marbles. Where I come from, none of us really liked marbles. We didn't.
I didn't play
marbles.
I didn't play marbles.
We like playing dirt bomb fights and stuff like that. So anyway, we told them, say, hey, why don't you give us a try? And they taught us the rules and how to play. And we were beating them left and right. So we would do boys against girls, and we always won. Always. And then they wouldn't let us play with them anymore.
Oh, well, I'll challenge you to a jacks match.
Oh, I'm going to get
and
some
don't
jacks.
Be fooled by it. People always thought that because I have small hands that I couldn't hold a lot of jacks in them, but I really could. I was really good at jacks.
All right.
So I challenge you.
All right. So on our next episode, or
maybe not the next one.
maybe 2 episodes from now, we'll
report
listeners will report to you on how I whipped Jill.
That won't be the outcome, but You can wish.
It will.
You can dream.
Really, really good jacks player.
I think I'm better. But let's get to our second segment that we call
Give it a rest and a resolution.
So your conclusion is?
Well, I think the audience knows what my conclusion is. Occasionally, just live like a child. That's it.
Yes. And for me, if you weren't a normal child, quote unquote, I've never tried to be normal. I should say that. Really? So I think normal is boring. But if you weren't known as a normal child, you can still find childlike things to do, like we've described and discussed in this episode.
Sure can.
All right. Well, let's get to our third segment that we call
I'm trying to help you.
Advice.
I do have some advice. My advice is actually a little homework for the audience.
Uh-oh.
Which is, I would love for the audience to go out and buy a toy for themselves. Maybe it's something that...
A childlike toy.
Yeah, childlike toy, yes. Ooh, Jill, your mind is in the gutter.
I was going to say, some of our listeners may have a lot of toys already. Just say it.
But a toy that maybe you had when you were a child. It could be a yo-yo, it could be jacks, or maybe there's a board game you like to play as a child. But whatever it was, just pick up that toy, or you can even buy yourself a toy that you've seen kids playing with and you always thought that toy was interesting, but you take like, oh, I'm too old like that. Like those silly little spinners. You ever use that spinner, Jill? These little spinners, and you put them between your thumb and forefinger and you just spin it.
Oh, the ones that they brought back? They kind of updated that.
Well, anyway, they're like addictive. You spin it and you keep wanting to spin it. You're just going to spin it.
If you say so.
Seriously. I have some spinners. No, I think
like I said, they updated them from when we were kids.
I didn't have them when I was a kid.
I don't like the new
I didn't
version.
have a spinner.
Okay.
And for the people that are old like me, they used to have these gyroscopes, and you would put a string around it and you would just pull it. It was kind of like a top. People will remember the tops that you would, a spinning top, and you'd put a string around it and you like whip it and it would spin on the floor. So yes, if you like to play with tops or yo-yos or anything, I have several yo-yos.
You just go send them out to listeners?
I'll send them out. Yeah. Duncan yo-yos. They're the best yo-yos. So, but see, I really do. I keep some type of, toy around all the time.
Okay.
So that's what I challenge the listeners to do.
Is to go get a toy and play with it.
Yes.
Well, I'll piggyback off of that and say, take it one step further and write about your experience.
Ooh.
Or report back to us.
Ooh.
If you're not a writer.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. That'll work.
All right. Well, we have one more segment.
We do.
And it's called So what do you think? What do you think? Because I'm right.
Because I'm right.
So we do want to hear from you listeners. And that number is
404-594-2247.
All right. Well, I think we're at the end of this episode.
Cool. I'm going to make sure maybe I can find my you keep on talking, Jill.
All right.
I'm going to find my my yo-yo.
All right. You've been listening to I'm Right.
I'm Right.
I'm Jill Cox Cordova.
I'm Anthony Cordova trying to look for my yo-yo, but Jill keeps interrupting me.
Shout out to Gifford Ivan Cordova III for the music, Nick Sinke for the art, and to you too, listeners. We really, it would be fun to see what you all do. So if you have, use your phone even to shoot yourself playing with this video and send it to us.
Oh, that would be
cool. Be fun.
That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I didn't find my yo-yo, but I know it's over here. I just didn't have enough time.
we need to say bye.
Yeah, we got to close this out.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. We love you all. Bye.